Welcome back, faithful viewers, to the conclusion. We finally made it. The conclusion of the blind side of having a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Let's just hop straight to it. I have some takeaway points that I'll be reading off of my notes so that I don't forget anything. But I'll first start off with the definition. The definition of the blind side. I didn't give that in the intro. So the definition of the blind side is, I have two. Number one, to be hit unexpectedly from or as from the blind side. The blind side, this is the part I'm adding on, is the space in your mind that lacks the knowledge and wisdom to be able to judge rightfully, to discern when danger is coming so that you can prevent it. And sometimes you don't even have the information to even intervene and to stop it. So let's go on to the second definition, to be surprised unpleasantly. So this whole series has been about being surprised unpleasantly. So let's get the information that we need. Let's go to these takeaway points here. Number one, having a boyfriend or a girlfriend is a temporary contract. A temporary contract where they ask you for your permission to use you. It's a temp agency. It's where people look to see if they want to give you a permanent position. And guess what? That permanent position isn't always a healthy permanent position. Okay, so we have to not be blindsided by that. So we don't want a temporary contract. If you know anything about a temp agency, they even pay you cheaper. And they even a lot of times plan on cutting you because you're a temp agent. So let's try to stay away from this. We don't want any parts of this temporary contract to use you. Number two, high stakes consequences. If you look back at the side effects videos, in the other videos before that, red flags and all that, it's high stake consequences that are very painful, causes you a lot of suffering, long term sometimes, and lifelong suffering. And we just don't need that deficit in our life. Life is hard enough dealing with work and family and whatever else you got going on in your life. All right, number three, it's actually low stakes of investment and sacrifice. We're kind of all guilty of this a little bit, even the sincere people and the ill-willed. Because guess what? Who doesn't want a deal, right? Who doesn't want the least resistance when it comes to going after what you want? We work hard, let's be honest, because we have to. But there's a lot of people out here that even if they know your worth, they're not even going to try to do that. They would rather just use you until they can't use you anymore and then back out of the situation or try to keep you and get multiple people to use. So let's do what we're supposed to do by putting in the patience, putting in the time to gain the knowledge and wisdom that we need to stay out of these situations and to only be bought at full price and not to compromise anything less than what we're worth, or else then you lower the standard and it's very hard to get somebody to move up to a higher standard after you already let them have the goods at a lower standard. Not impossible, but very difficult. Let's move on to point number 4. I touched on that. People are always looking for a deal. Let's go on to point 5. Just because people are putting in a lot does not mean it's a lot to sacrifice. Sometimes people just have an abundance and overflowing of whatever they're giving you because they have it to give, and that makes their deception game stronger to make you think they're sacrificing a lot. So make sure you really know that person to know, what are they really giving up? Are they really sacrificing? Got to ask ourselves about that. Let's go to point 6. Let's be honest. I know you don't want to hear this one. Hopefully I don't lose you as a viewer. It's not one of the promises of God. There are things that God has promised us. There are things that he vouches for and supports. Girlfriend and boyfriend is not one of them. Why would he want you to play a guessing game with your soul that only some people make it out of alive? And no one makes it out of a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship without scars. And I understand scars come in a marriage, but a holy matrimony, you'll have a better chance of having the painful suffering things that happen to you as a girlfriend or boyfriend, the being used. Notice I say holy matrimony. Okay, so there are unhealthy marriages out here, and we don't want you in those either. So let's move on to point 2. Not point 2, point 7. Sorry about that. What is point 7? Life without God is dangerous. You don't want to be out here with just your own self, trying to figure out human beings that you'll never know enough because we're evolving. And people are just really good at hiding their flaws. And only God is in charge of life and death and knows people better than they know themselves. You need to depend on God to reveal to you who somebody is. We will have a series on that, but let's just finish with this conclusion here. He will work hard to expose the relationship you're in. He's in it to help you get out. He'll save you, but not necessarily save your relationship. Again, having a boyfriend or girlfriend is not a promise of God, and it's not a step to holy matrimony, even though we like to think that it is. You need to learn how to have a true friend, and from there, get engaged. I know that's foreign to you. We'll get to that at another time. Let's move on to point 8, which I kind of touched on already. You have a better chance of making it in a holy matrimony than you do in some fleshly contract with man. It's just simple as that. I'd already touched on that already. Man's flesh is based on some knowledge, some wisdom, but a lot of blind spots, a lot of ignorance. And again, without God, you're not going to get very far. So let's move on to point 9, which I touched on as well. God doesn't support it. He doesn't approve of it. And I'm just going to go straight to this scripture for those of you Bible readers out there. Psalm 127, verse 1. Except the Lord build the house, they that build it build in vain. Go check that out. We are concluding. See me in my next videos. If you subscribe to share peace, love, and kindness, you will see all my videos in order. I do need to complete some sub-series to The Blind Side, but other than that, we're going to move forward, and it's going to get deeper. I mean, there's a lot of depth to this. I can't give you enough information, but I can give you a lot. See you soon.